Uh, Thank you so much. Eva is always so kind. I really don't deserve it. We have been doing a course thanks to Eva, to Arturo, to other people at the World Bank, with all you from Latin and Central America, but also from other locations, and we learned so much from each other. It has been fantastic, and we hope and we love that this will continue. I would like to start with a small story. This is a friend of ours that we'll know. His name is Nigel Jacob. He's the CEO of Urban Mechanics in Boston. And this guy had a problem with these things. And this is a hydrant. It's a small, stupid thing that provides water, so the fireman can put and take water and extinguish things. Well, fire hydrants in Boston have a small problem. And this is the small problem that they have. Well, it snows. If you have been in Boston, you know it. It snows. So how can a city check if the hydrants work or not in a very short, limited amount of time? So firemen can know which ones to repair, which not, and so on. So Nigel had an idea. And then they contacted these people that you heard before, that was Code for America. This is the San Francisco office, the new ones. The old ones were much smaller. And this is the organization that they contact. And the idea was very simple but powerful. And this was the idea. Why don't we make an app? And you think, how on earth an app can solve the problem of a hydrant when it snows? Well, the idea was extremely simple. Is just, why don't we let people to adopt a hydrant? So every time that when it snows, yes, we send them a text message and you say, is your hydrant working or not? And then if it's not, then you can say, well, it's not, and then somebody can repair it. But the hard problem of finding out which ones work or not is done by the people, not by the city. So this changes many things. First, it changed the way that we solve a problem, but also it changed the way that citizens think of a city, the way of citizenship. And it's reinventing citizenship using the tools of the 21st century instead of relying on the tools of the 19th century. So it's a big change. So that was great, but it's a nice idea. And well, we teach innovation here, and we always say innovation is an invention that needs to be adopted. If the invention is not adopted, it's not an innovation. So, nice idea, you have 1,000, so what? Well, this happens, and this is in Honolulu, and in Honolulu they don't have a problem with hydrants, but this is a siren, and then in Honolulu they have tsunamis, and sirens have batteries. Well, you can guess what happens with the batteries in Honolulu. I mean, people steal batteries. So how do you check the sirens in Honolulu? Well, it happens that the same app can save a different problem. And then here it becomes, well, adopt a siren. And this is Chicago, and here become adopt a sidewalk. And, well, they make a small campaign, and it works, and, well, the list goes on and on and on. And the important thing is the idea, of course. But the second important thing is how can you spread this idea? And this is what we are about. Well, thanks to the European project, same thing like with JAMO, in the case of City SDK, we had Commons for Europe, and in Commons for Europe that tries to replicate, somehow tries to adapt Code for America here. It's a 3-year project already that we have done quite a lot of generations. One of the things that we care a lot, it's about implemented civic commons. That is something that was born in New York. And this is our implementation of civic commons. And this is a repository with all these apps can be put together. So when all these apps are put together, 2 wonderful things happen. First, you can pick them because they are open source. So every city doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, creating new code for the same thing, solving the same problem that the city next door already solved and paid for. You just can put it. And then the second important thing is that if you take some app, if you take some code and you work on it, probably you will innovate, you will do it better, because you don't have to do the first work. You can put some innovation there. So these are 2 important things that happen. Why we think this is important? It's pretty in the same line of the Jarmo's presentation. We think that we have a problem with open data, and we have a problem with this message of how to build next cities. And the problem is that we have some failures in our ecosystems. And then the failures, basically, one of the big ones is that we don't have a market that is big enough. So we have to build a market. And build a market is build standards, so things can operate together, but it's also build a repository, build a community, so things can communicate and things can be there. And that's why we are building all these European projects and trying to build these markets, CTSDK, Code for Europe, Commons for Europe, and so on. There is also a different why. And let me tell you a few words just for ending about the why. And the first thing is that we believe that cities have to change from being service providers to ecosystem managers. Because if you are a service provider, you only have one question that is worth, is how much money do you have? Depending on the money that you have, you can provide more or less services. Depending on the money that you have, you can provide these services better or worse, probably. But this is the only question that you have in front. If you are a manager of an ecosystem, you build on the apps and so on, the bigger your ecosystem is, the more attractive it is. And you don't pay. Apple doesn't pay for the apps that are in the ecosystem. Google doesn't pay for the apps in the Android. Nobody pays for that. So the question is no longer how much money do I have. But there is more. It's the culture behind. If you are a service provider, you are making a culture of in-house, vendor-based, high cost, no sharing, where everybody invents the wheel one time and another time. If you are managing of ecosystem, you push a culture of free spirit of innovation. This is probably the biggest change. Cities have been, all the time, a place where innovation has been born. In cities is where most of the ideas came. Putting people together, meeting people and enabling people to combine ideas has been an engine for growth. We have an opportunity now of using ICT, of using technology to push this engine for growth, the same way that in the old times it happened. And this is our message. We are now building code for Latin America and Commons for Latin America, because the bigger the better, because we all benefit from making it bigger and making it open. And we hope that we can all meet that. Thank you so much.